Thank you, Hannah. The time is now 6:53 on this Tuesday morning, and here's what you need to know before you go.
An Orr man is behind bars this morning after allegedly shooting at a firefighting aircraft. Daniel Petit is in the St. Louis County Jail facing several charges, including reckless discharge of a firearm and assault. So here's a look at that bullet hole in the fire bomber. According to officials, 2 fire suppression aircrafts were responding to a fire in Portage Township near Orr on Friday. When one of the aircraft returned, they found a bullet hole in it. Thankfully, the pilot was safe and the plane landed just fine. During the investigation, authorities identified Petit as a suspect, then searching his home in Portage Township. They found several firearms and ammunition. He is now behind bars awaiting charges.
To our southwest, the Flanders wildfire has grown to about 1,700 acres in the Brainerd Lakes area. This morning, containment is now up to 60% on that fire as it burns near Breezy Point along Highway 6. Property owners were allowed back into the evacuation zone yesterday. No word yet on what caused that fire or how many structures may be impacted at this time.
A massive amount of drugs are off the street this morning after a law enforcement operation on the Iron Range. So look at this haul confiscated by the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office and Lake Superior Violent Offender Task Force. Saturday and Sunday, they executed a series of search warrants in rural parts of the county, as well as the cities of Virginia and Gilbert. The result of the long-term investigation, 19.5 pounds of meth, 1.2 pounds of cocaine, nearly $22,000 in cash, and the arrest of several people who are now in jail charged with first-degree drug crimes.